Nothing above the repeat with wins back on the throne. All we do is set trends, so you know what we on. Yep, I'm back with the remix, it's 4th and JAWN. All birds, all Philly, midnight green. Things changing for the better since we got that ring. Put the league on notice, we're not done. 2019, we adding another one. Yeah, you heard me right on every Tuesday night. 8 to 10 birds of a feather, got that flight. Nothing but the hot takes. Back with the big facts for the fans, by the fans, exactly where we at. Pull up to the tailgate, stop by F1. Baptized by the Pope, been bass for everyone. Flying in from the West Coast, even overseas. Get blessed by Ginger Jesus, we disciples of the tree. E-A-G, wait, C-H-M-P-S, don't stress, we on the same conquest. Dominate the division, destroy the NFC, conquer the AFC. Grab that Vince Lombardi, Wentz to AJ, climb it up the gut. Be grand with the strip sack, this sound familiar, huh? Aguilar on the slot, Sproles with the return, Mills with the pick six. Okay, wait, it gets worse. J Train on the run, J.E. hitting from 60. Fletcher C in that D-line, that's what you don't want to see. Ertz catching tubs, foes on another level. The Super Bowl ain't the only time you see that Philly special. We live from Broad Street, brotherly loves the heartbeat. Hungry dogs run faster and we don't eat cheap. No one likes us and we don't care, cause we from Philly and we ain't never scared. Look up.
But I just gotta know one thing. Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
What's up, Philadelphia? We are live broadcasting from Wildfire Sports Studios. Welcome to 4th and JAWN, episode 63.
Let's talk about these Eagles fans.
That's right, Brian Dawkins. Let's talk about those Eagles fans, because I don't know why it surprises me. I don't know why it shocks me anymore. Because every time the Philadelphia Eagles fan base has an opportunity to take over a city, to take over a stadium, flood anywhere with a sea of Eagles green, chant their lungs out, completely take over and let them know the champs are in town, you absolutely do it. Now, I'll say this to the rest of the NFL fans that were out there in Canton, whether it was to see your player inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame or just to soak in the history that the Hall of Fame had to offer. I know we were a little loud. I know there was a lot of us there.
Oh, donkey.
I know that we were a little obnoxious, intoxicated at times, and I know by the time Brian Dawkins got done wrapping up his speech that you were thankful that finally the Eagles fans were gonna leave Canton, Ohio. So on behalf of the entire Eagles fan base, allow me to say I apologize for absolutely nothing.
Hallelujah!
Nothing. You regret nothing. You think it's annoying hearing E-A-G-L-E-S until your ears bleed? Try living your entire life being asked how many rings you got, how many Super Bowls you got, how many Lombardis you got. You think Eagles fans are obnoxious? Listen, we're going to go to Canton and we're going to act a fool. We're going to walk around the stadium with the Super Bowl score on it. We're going to boo Jerry Jones when he goes on the Jumbotron. You know why? Because we're Eagles fans and we are the best fans in the NFL. So congratulations, Eagles fans. You turned up and represented, and I don't care what anybody else says about you. Packers fans, listen, it's not my fault you underrepresented. Jerry Kramer was going in the NFL Hall of Fame. Finally, the biggest travesty of the Pro Football Hall of Fame was not the fact that Terrell Owens didn't get in on his first try. It's the fact that Vince Lombardi's guard, the cornerstone of that power sweep, he should have been in the Hall of Fame 20 years ago. It's not my fault you guys underrepresented, Chicago Bears fans. You guys are the monsters of the Midway. You guys put the middle linebacker position on the map, whether it be Dick Butkus, whether it be Mike Singletary, and now Brian Urlacher. It's not our fault that Eagles fans completely drowned you out. Vikings fans, Listen, I know at this point I'm supposed to rag on you and make fun of you and tee-hee, all that. But I'll give you a pass. I know why you didn't show up. Because when you saw that Randy Moss was going to go in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you said, oh, Betsy, don't you know? Randy Moss is going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Oh, is that right, Barbara? Oh, you betcha. Well, we better go down to Canton and see Randy Moss put on his gold jacket. Oh, I don't know, Betsy, but all those Eagles fans are going to be there because Brian Dawkins is getting inducted. Remember what happened the last time Vikings fans went into a sea of green? Oh, you betcha. I read all about it on Facebook. I don't blame you for not showing up to Canton and representing the Minnesota Vikings the way you should. I don't blame you at all. In fact, keep that in mind during the regular season when you come back to Lincoln Financial Field so we don't send you home with your tail in between your legs crying. Ravens fans, I see you. You did good. You were out there. You represented. But if you think that Eagles fans, this is just the start. You can't have a fan base that was told how many rings you got, how many Lombardis you got, how many Super Bowls you got, and then in the same breath get sick of hearing them and tell them, listen, buddy, why don't you turn it down a notch? Why don't you level it down? You're being a little obnoxious. No! And for the rest of the NFL fans, I'll tell you what. If you think we're going to stop pounding our chests about this Super Bowl in Canton, at Lincoln Financial Field, or no matter what stadium the Eagles fans take over, boy, you got another thing coming. Mr. Gale Saunders, Eagle Sessions on Twitter, how are you this evening?
I'm pretty good, man. I mean, you fans out there, you going to learn. You're going to learn today.
Learn.
I mean, we had a great last couple of days, man. It's been tremendous as an Eagle fan, as someone who loves Brian Dawkins, who always wanted to go to the Hall of Fame, but it was just too far for my dad to drive. But Brian Dawkins gave us every bit of a reason to be there, and it was a life-changing experience for me. I'm glad to have shared that trip with, my brothers. We had a great time farting in the car on the way up there, smelling like success.
Oh, donkey.
But, I mean, real talk, I mean, like sometimes things are meant to be. You're in the right place, the right time. We're out there celebrating Brian Dawkins. And the fact that we were able to meet Brian Dawkins' wife.
Yes.
And the way it happened was so organically that the powers of B were looking over the 4th and JAWN crew and made that happen. I mean...
Yes, sir. Go ahead and tell the story, man. People want to hear.
So, I mean, we were filming people, outside Canton, filming Eagle fans, and we had that moment we had stopped, and it was hot as balls out there.
We smelled like the van smelled on
a sweaty mess.
Right, smelling like success. And some guy, he was in charge of the Dawkins line. Of autographs. And mind you, these people were paying like $150 an autograph. I mean, there's like hundreds and hundreds of people there. He's like, why don't you take video of us? And we're like, okay. So he's like, all right, breaks out the camera and we start riling up these Eagle fans. And I'm following behind with the Dawk sign, which sits behind us right here. And we're just like chanting up a storm, go Dawk, and, firing everybody up. And then this woman, like an angel, like stops me, and she's like, hey, where'd you get that sign? And I'm like, oh, we had it made. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. He said, can you get me one? And then we're just like, I look at E, and then E's like, Connie?
Yeah, I looked at her, I went, oh my God, Connie?
And then I go, I was like, you know what? I said, we have a Eagles podcast, and it's funny. You were the topic of our conversation just a couple days ago, and we just are honored to meet you. And he's like, we're telling us the stories of being good-hearted men to our women, and what Brian Dawkins meant to us.
Yeah, I was trying to get it out, and I'm never a person with a lack of words. I'm never left speechless. But when I saw her, I struggled to get it out. Because, Gail, you've been with your girl for a long time. I've been with my girl for a long time. And we've had conversations off the air, often as friends do, right, about the role our girls play in our lives. When we're down, they pick us up. They're the cornerstone. So hearing all those articles about Connie Dawkins and how he was a rock for not only that family, but really getting Brian Dawkins to that Hall of Fame point, I was trying to express to her how that hit home to us.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, we're just all looking at each other like, really, this is really happening, and she's like, well, how much did that sign cost you to make? And we're like, about what, $70 or something?
Yeah.
She's like, I'll make you guys a deal. How about you give me a sign, and I'll trade you. I'll have Brian sign it. So next thing you know, his son comes out who looks, it's like a spitting image of him.
Oh my God.
He goes to Clemson. He's in junior year. He's got his other daughter there. He's got the twins there behind him. And then she's like, baby, bring this to your father. Have him sign it. You guys just wait here with us. So we're chilling with the Dawkins family.
Yes.
For a good 40 minutes, just like hanging out.
Kicking it.
Like one of the family.
Yeah.
I had to pinch myself. And then after we were just standing there, sometimes things are meant to be, and that was
40 minutes later, he comes back. She comes back with the sign, and there it is, right behind us. I think this is going to stay in the studio forever. It is signed to 4th and JAWN. God bless. Fly Eagles fly. The Wolverine. And listen, it's kind of. I realize we're grown ass men, kind of, getting a chubby about a Brian Dawkins autograph, a player's autograph, but this felt like not just a signature, it felt like a gift to the family, from the family. Like this was a gift from the Dawkins family to us for coming out and celebrating Brian Dawkins with him. It was an unbelievable experience.
I mean, and just watching Brian Dawkins, that was a legendary speech. I haven't seen many like it. I think like Brian Dawkins himself, he is he's different than a lot of players. I mean, he has that kind of presence. He had that whole stadium eating out of his hand. He had every person in there shedding tears, and he just made an incredible moment. And I think Eagle fans will never forget that.
I think that we all kind of knew what Jerry Kramer was going to go up and say, and how he was going to deliver his speech. Same thing with Brian Urlacher. Kind of the same thing with Randy Moss. And while we didn't stick around for Ray Lewis, and I still have yet to see his Hall of Fame speech, I heard it was a little long-winded, a little self-congratulatory, and, we don't need it. Why are we sticking around? I don't think the rest of the NFL fans had any idea what Brian Dawkins was going to bring, the way he crawled out of that tunnel, or at least like he used to crawl out of that tunnel, right? And then deliver the type of speech that he had. I don't think the other NFL fans knew what's coming, but we knew, just like he did on the field, that he was going to pour his entire heart and soul into what he was saying. Justin.
I was just going to say that you really didn't miss anything with Ray Lewis's speech. They broke rules, gave him a lavalier mic so he didn't have to stand at the podium, and he paced back and forth on the stage the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay. So he decided to do it completely different.
Yeah. He had special permission from the Hall of Fame that he didn't have to use the mic at the podium.
Is that because Doc broke it? With his baritones.
That's because no one wants to say no to Ray Lewis. Or else,
I bet you killed it, didn't you?
But it was an unbelievable trip.
I just don't understand the Saint Ray love that he gets.
Yeah, he's the best middle linebacker of that era. You know what I mean? Yeah. And as much as other fans want to dog him for stuff that he may or may not have done off the field, he still defined that team. He was our Brian Dawkins.
Mm-hmm. It's just I don't understand. Ray Lewis was, at least from looking at it on TV, it looked like he was the most celebrated Hall of Famer there, judging from what you could see on TV. But for everything that he's done, T.O.'s the bad guy?
Yeah. No,
it's an interesting point, honestly.
That is an interesting point. Did anybody see any of Terrell Owens' Hall of Fame, quasi Hall of Fame? No, nobody gave a shit. I
was like, you know what? You don't want to give me your time. I'm not going to give you my time. Mm-hmm. And we drove all that way just to, after being there and after hearing Brian Dawkins speak, and I realized that that's the only person that I really wanted to hear. And I didn't really care about.
That was the entire trip.
I didn't really care about anybody else. And that was funny because I was like, I want to hear that straight cash homie from Randy. But then I was like, I don't really care. No, and I don't really care about T.O. because he doesn't really care about being here. So If he's at Buffalo Wild Wings doing his speech, I don't give a damn.
No, and it was kind of childish. And just to clarify our point, speaking of Straight Cash Homie and Randy Moss speaking, Eagles fans did catch a little bit of a flack because I guess we were so loud that over the TV you could hear EAGLES chants either during Brian Urlacher's video intro or Randy Moss's speech. Just understand this.
Very vividly, it came across the TV.
Very vividly. Okay, just understand this. We weren't out there disrespecting Randy Moss. We weren't standing.
No.
That was all the Eagles fans exiting the building and just being that loud. Again, it's not our fault that we showed up. It's not our fault that we came out and by the thousands to support our guy. You guys should have represented maybe a little bit harder, made a little bit more noise, and you would have been drowned out by the Eagles fans.
I mean,
sorry, not sorry.
Eagle fans were funneling out of there like nobody's business. As soon as Doc was done, they were like, "I'm out, deuces."
And I guarantee, and while we did exit, and watching everybody else exit as well, I guarantee the reason why it looked like he was the most celebrated Hall of Famer as all that was there was because all that was left was probably a quarter of the stadium, which they probably let down from the stands just to fill out the seats in front of them. Yeah. Of Ravens fans. There was a lot of Ravens fans there. Again, I'll give you guys credit. A lot of Ravens fans. Green Bay Packers fans, Chicago Bears fans, and Minnesota Vikings fans. And step your game up. Step your Hall of Fame game up. Because the Eagles were out there representing. Unbelievable trip. We had a full day tour of the Hall of Fame. Prior to that, just to soak in that history, seeing the ball and the jersey and Doug Peterson's visor and all that from the Philly special, that was just Goosebumps City right there. Yeah. They even wrote on the laces on the ball like Philly special, and they saved it. That was cool. And then to see the Chuck Bednarik jersey hanging up and the Reggie White and everything like that, and then Dawkins' locker with all the stuff that he used to have in his locker. I toured the NovaCare complex quite a bit when he was playing there, and all those figurines and everything that you saw there, that was legit. Like, his locker used to be like a Wolverine shrine. So it was good to kind of see that recreated in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Hopefully that lasts a while and they take good care of him over there.
Yeah. And they also had a little Super Bowl exhibit where most of it was the Eagles Super Bowl. They did catch E trying to record such video.
Bootleg copy.
Security came out. They're like, "Listen, little punk.
You can't record here, buddy." No, I hope that for all the 4th and JAWN listeners and the Twitter followers and the Facebook Live people, shout out to you. Mike's working the Facebook Live feed over there. Hopefully you guys, got some good content, felt like you were there with us, because we were, whether it be doing the Philly special in front of a dozen Vikings fans on the field, in front of the DJ, the Dallas Cowboys DJ, doing the Philly special there, or talking to the fans, or interviewing the fans on what Brian Dawkins meant to them, or going through the Hall of Fame and kind of showing the people at home exactly what was there for them. I hope we brought you a little closer to that experience.
And someone who filmed us doing the Philly special was a fan of the show, Chris Seeley.
Yes, sir.
Who lives in Canton.
And was our tour guide.
He was basically our tour guide. Gave us all the little info about, the backstories of. He actually knew people on the campus, but he was a great sport, and it was cool just to meet. There's 4th and JAWN fans out there. Tons of Eagle fans all over the country, repping like ridiculously hard that aren't even in Philadelphia. So shout out to Chris.
And working the soundboard tonight, cleanly shaven.
Hallelujah!
Yeah, looking like he didn't roll out of a dormitory today is Mr. Hollywood Hurt.
No,
you earned the Hollywood nickname today, my friend.
I appreciate it. I'm just trying to fulfill my role as the best looking guy on the show. I know I have a big role.
All right, settle down.
Hollywood.
Feeling myself after this trip. So anyway, guys, I got to be honest with you. The greatest thing, like the way that I can compare Canton to someone that hasn't been there, it's like Disney World for football fans.
Yes,
like
sir.
you go there and like we're like a kid in a candy shop. You're just looking around at all the cool pieces of NFL history. And to cap it all off, the Eagles fans, as we've been saying on the show, they try, like, it's unbelievable. Every time there's an away game, there's any sort of Eagles event anywhere in the country, Eagles fans are going to show up and they're going to be loud. And like Ravens fans were definitely number 2 as far as fan population that was showing up. But the Eagles fans, I really think just that they still dwarf the Ravens fans. Like you would look down when we watched the speeches of the players, you would look down and entire sections would be taken up by Eagles green. And the nonstop Eagles chants, oh my God, I could not imagine. I feel like all of the workers at Canton are just looking at the Eagles roster and they're going, Jesus Christ, when is the next time we're gonna have to deal? 6 to 10 years. When's Jason going in?
Jason going in?
Yeah. So they were happy to get rid of us, but we can't wait to go back. And it was a hell of a trip. From start to finish, every day just got better, and it was a good time with the boys.
One of the most underrated experiences, and I'm not sure that I shared it on Twitter or anything, but it always made me smile, is when you would hear somebody bust out an Eagles chant, right? And then you would hear somebody else bust out an Eagles chant, and then you would hear somebody else bust out an Eagles chant. I can't tell you how many times I passed by a Ravens fan or Bears fans, and they went, "All right,
we were pretty much
we get it,
inside
EAG, all right, give it a rest."
Before the actual
God, you're so annoying. Shut up already! No, we're not shutting up.
No,
this is just a taste of what's to come during the season.
And like you said, we have been hearing our entire lives how many rings you got. You know, you got an empty trophy case. Dude, we win one, and everybody's complaining 6 months later that we're too loud, we're too obnoxious, we hang on to it too much. Like, you kidding me? Let us bask in this. I'm going to bask in it another 6 months, and I'm going to bask in another 12 months after that when we repeat.
It's crazy how they're trying to put a time limit on the time that we can experience this Super Bowl victory.
Meanwhile, Cowboys fans have been celebrating the 90s Super Bowls since 20 years.
Really, dude.
Yeah. Just keep this in mind for the rest of the NFL fans across the league. We're not doing this to you. You did this to you.
Yeah.
You did this to you. We suffered years of torment, years of ridicule at the hands of all of you. Now you want to tell us to shut up? No, pal, it don't work that way.
You know what this is? It's a big family, and the Eagles were the little brother that was always getting beat up by the big brothers, and all of a sudden, we discovered the weight room. And we could just work them however we want, and now they're squealing.
Now they're squealing. You know, it's kind of, and I said this in the van, it's kind of reminiscent of when Dave Chappelle, played Rick James, and he's crawling out of Eddie Murphy's house. They should have never gave you money. They should have never gave us a Super Bowl because we don't know how to act. No. And we're going to keep acting like that. Working Facebook Live tonight, our boy Philly Mike. Philly, how you doing?
Doing good, fellas. It was like we've been saying, it's been one hell of a trip. I can't wait to go back. Pretty much when Jason Peters, I guess we would say, I'm definitely going to stop back to Ken. I'm just glad to have. It was just a dream of mine, just seeing Dawkins when he retires and then going to the Hall of Fame. It was just always a goal of mine to go and witness his speech in person. And he didn't disappoint, man. It was just real tears coming down my eyes. My voice is still shot. I'm trying to get that back because I kept cheering nonstop, yelling EAGLES the whole freaking trip. It's just one hell of a trip. I would just highly recommend whoever's a football fan to make their way to Canton, Ohio, just to witness the museum and probably your favorite player witness the speech, because I'll tell you what, it's worth it. It's worth it.
And if you're an Eagles fan looking to visit Canton, go when an Eagles get inducted, because you will not be disappointed.
Exactly. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a spiritual journey.
It was. Philadelphia quite literally took over the Canton area. When we went to Jersey's, the bar that we were tailgating before the enshrinement, I realized that was a party thrown by Green Legion. It was all Eagles fans.
Yeah, shout out to Green Legion.
Green Legion did a great job. But there was hundreds, if not 1,000 people at that bar that just took it over. And, oh my God, it was just unbelievable.
Talking to the police officers that were working security there, right, they said that they've seen other fans. They've never seen anything like this. Mm-hmm. They kept shaking their heads going, we have never, ever seen anything like this.
Yeah, and it's just a little town, Canton. And then all of a sudden they just have, their population must have, quadrupled during that weekend.
And after the Hall of Fame trip, the Road Warriors once again piled in the stink van and traveled all the way back to Philadelphia to catch open practice. Sweating our asses off, but as I sat there in the front row of Lincoln Financial Field, it dawned on me that this is the first time that we've been home since the NFC Championship game. And I think it dawned on a lot of people because I've been visiting training camp for the last 20-plus years. I've never seen 40,000 people show up to an open practice, which, by the way, is a glorified walkthrough. Let's just agree on that. It's a good. You're not going to be able to sit there and tweet and break down the position battles based off of an open practice. It's a glorified walkthrough. But Eagles fans were just living it up. I've never seen a 15-minute straight dueling Eagles chant, the Foles clap, the no one likes us
at the practice,
the wave. They were just having the absolute time of their lives, to the point where Dave Spadaro got on the microphone, cued the PA speakers inside the stadium, and said, "That was awesome." All the beat writers were filming everything. The players were even turning around and doing the Foles chant a couple times with us. They were loving every minute of that. But we'll dip into the practices and some more training camp notes as we go along. But let's go ahead and take some phone calls. Justin, we're going to go first to Ralph. Ralph, you are on with 4th and JAWN. How are you doing today, buddy?